Africa makes the semi-final always, doesn't
He was the first nigga.
Said men away from the game. There's a
I'm a real hater like that.
Guys are gonna ride Messi, but like guys, the man can only do so much.
Yo, my brothers, my sisters, and my ballers. Welcome back to another match day of What's Football with our fans, with your favorite social football analyst, Tepiso Pizzi, aka Tebzoro. To the ballers passing by, I hope you like what you see, because I surely like what I do. And make sure to join the returning ballers who continue to show me gang love and appreciation by liking, commenting, as well as to subscribe. It's Champions League week, my ballers, and there are many mouth-watering fixtures, with Real Madrid taking on Man City, Arsenal against Leverkusen, Galatasaray against Liverpool, Spurs up against Atletico Madrid, but I'll be discussing a matter of revenge, possibly, for PSG up against Chelsea. Now, we all know what happened last season at the end of the season in the Club World Cup, with Chelsea killing the dreams of PSG having a flawless season in the final of the Club World Cup, dismantling the Paris Saint-Germain team to a 3-0 win. And now Luis Enrique gets his opportunity to face Chelsea once again in the last 16 of the Champions League, with the first leg over at the Parc des Princes. Now, one team is coming off a loss, with them having a shaky season so far in PSG. But when we think about it, last season was kind of the same until a game-changing moment or game-changing matter against Man City in the 7th match day of the Champions League group stages, where PSG were 2 goals down and they turned it around to win 4-2. Just recently in the playoffs of the Champions League for the last 16, PSG took their task and went up against Monaco in beating them. But over on Friday night in the league, Monaco went to Paris and claimed a 3-1 victory, with Luis Enrique starting most of his main players. Now, yes, players have been missing this season. Ousmane Dembele has been in and out of the team with injury, even though he's been training recently with him back on the training pitch. We don't know which Ousmane Dembele will turn up, as that is PSG's key man. Hakimi Achraf has also missed a lot of the season, with Zaire Emre placing or putting in a shift a lot at right back this season, but also coming into midfield, as Fabian Ruiz has also had injury problems. You can never write off PSG under Luis Enrique. Yes, Donnarumma left with them having a new keeper. It's still the same back four. Nuno Mendes and Hakim Achraf will continue doing their thing in playing high and narrow, whilst the wingers, who are expected to be Barcola as well as Kvaratskhelia, moving high and wide. The flexibility of the front three and the interchangeability is still there, with Desiree Doué recently hitting form in the Champions League, basically killing Monaco if we think about it, with his performance away at the Principality and then with what he produced at home. PSG can never be written off. Yes, Pacho may have hit a certain peak with them not reaching the heights of last season, and Marquinhos' legs are starting to go. You still have arguably, well, in my opinion, not arguably, the best left back in the world, and maybe may say arguably the best right back in the world, but I also feel they have the best fullbacks in the world in Nuno Mendes and Hakimi Achraf. They don't mind getting into the box, they don't mind getting beyond their forwards and bypassing the midfielders without them even realizing. Both fullbacks produced amazing goal-scoring stats last season, as well as big GAs for the team, and they are a big contribution. You found Hakimi Achraf scoring in the 6-yard box in a whole Champions League final inside 15 minutes. So you know the threat that they pose down the flanks, and then having one of the best midfielders in the world in Vitinha controlling the game and having a hard-running João Neves, it's going to be a difficult task for Chelsea to break down. Look, on their end, they have a Liam Rosenior who may come into this game with great knowledge, having faced PSG multiple times over the last 2 seasons when coaching Strasbourg. But hey man, it's a matter of revenge for PSG. There's a lot on the line and there's a lot to play for. PSG definitely feel they belong at these stages, whilst Chelsea, as the size and the stature of the club for the fans, feel as though we belong here, but it feels as though we're making a return to where we belong. It's good to see Cole Palmer finally fit, and as well as João Pedro, or if I may call him World Cup Pedro, firing on all cylinders now, as he did during the Club World Cup. We had missed that type of form from the months of November into January, But since Liam Rosenior has come in, the man has hit the ground running under Liam Rosenior, hitting fine form, taking us into the next stage of the Champions League and cementing an automatic qualification spot in producing a brace against Napoli. He recently scored a hat-trick against Aston Villa at Villa Park and scored a beautiful goal against Wrexham. He'll definitely lead the line against the Parisians, and he's brought some aggression into his game, which can certainly be beneficial because we felt as though we've missed a striker who has that aggression or that toughness. He just showcases flair and looks better as a second striker, but hey, he can lead the line. But this is the test where you have to see him against big clubs like a PSG. Being supported by Cole Palmer and possibly Pedro Neto, we like to see Enzo Fernandez find himself in those attacking pockets in assisting the attack as well as balancing the midfield. And then having Caicedo and Andre Santos as a stiff midfield 2 pivot, with Andre Santos just quickly playing balls out as well as breaking down the game. Tactically, Chelsea can be stiff to break down, especially under Liam Rosenior, with him having 2 pivots in the way he plays and only 3 recognized attackers with Cole Palmer floating. But we saw what Enzo Maresca did in the Club World Cup, playing a back 3 and having Gusto and Palmer overload on the right up against Nuno Mendes. We don't know if that tactic may be deployed again. Obviously there's a new coach, but we wonder who the centre-back pairing will be for Chelsea. A lot of the time this season it has been Chalobah and Fofana when fit, with Levi Colwill missing due to injury. But anything can happen in this game. Look, Chelsea and red cards, that can be a big game changer, as we've seen how many times Chelsea have gotten a red card this season and how it's hurt them in many fixtures. Hurt them in the league with Santos up against Brighton, Sanchez up against Man United, Neto up against Arsenal. Countless moments with getting red cards. Pedro as well as in the Champions League. It's just common with Chelsea, and it's something that needs to be nullified and taken out of the game. Caicedo, big performance is going to be needed with him up against a player like João Neves. Both stiff, ball-winning, great ball runners in the midfield. It's going to be a key battle. Look, the game may not be won in midfield, but the team that has control of the midfield will certainly hang in trumps in producing the goods in taking their team into the next round of the Champions League. We just wait and wonder how things pan out in Paris before going on to London. PSG has a great advantage with them not having any weekend fixtures after the first leg. So in between the first leg and the second leg, PSG doesn't have a game, whilst Chelsea will host Newcastle at Stamford Bridge, who will be coming off their own encounter up against Barcelona. We wonder how Liam Rosenior will rotate the midfield with having Romeo Lavia back in the side, and we know how well Romeo Lavia is on the ball and how he aims to play forward. Cole Palmer, the stage is set for you. Cole Palmer, the stage is set for you against PSG. You are the match winner in the Club World Cup, tearing them apart in the first half, and now you have another opportunity with you finally fit. Let's see what you can do, but then again, you can't write off PSG at all. If anything, their attack and total 11 is stronger than Chelsea's starting 11. When you have Mika Varakela on form as well as a Bradley Bacola firing with the pace that they possess and the speed in transitions, and then the amazing feet that Desiree Doué has, Cucurella and Reece James will have to be on. They'll have to be in it to win it for sure, with them potentially being the 2 second best fullbacks in the world up against the best fullbacks in the world. In my opinion, Reece James is a definite number 2 to Hakimi Ashraf, and then Cucurella, it's debatable. It's great to see him back in the side for Chelsea and will be a big boost, even though Hato has done his part and done well. You know you want to see Cucurella, as you understand what he'll bring, a trusted figure for the Blues. It all needs a result to be taken back to Stamford Bridge for Chelsea. If they want to go through in this tie in cementing themselves as one of Europe's biggest giants, they need to win these games. Under the new ownership, we haven't had encounters like these. In their first season, we beat Borussia Dortmund in the last 16 before falling to Real Madrid. But in that case, we always fell to a bigger team. Now the stage is set. Where do Chelsea move? What is their new direction as World Cup champions up against the defending champions in the Champions League, with them coming through from the playoffs? We saw what happened last season. PSG also came through from the playoffs and also played a French side in the playoffs in Brest before taking on Liverpool and knocking them out, an English side. We know their record against English sides last season in the Champions League. Knocked out Liverpool, knocked out Aston Villa, knocked out Arsenal to reach the final. Here's another English side in their way for the last 16, and if they make it through, they could meet another English side in the quarterfinals if Liverpool proceed against Galatasaray. It's all to play for in the last 16. The boys have been separated from the men, and we finally have the big encounters, with it being knockouts right now instead of big encounters in the group stages, which is beautiful to see what the Champions League has brought us. But now it's time for the knockouts. PSG up against Chelsea at the Parc des Princes Wednesday night. A massive fixture in European football. Two oil powerhouses, or new money powerhouses as we may call them, with PSG being Qatari oil money, and then Chelsea, having been under Abramovich, now being taken over by Gluco in Ekbali and Todd Bowley. New investments with many high transfers that have happened over the course of the past 20 years for both clubs. It's now time to see who stands up as the tallest and as the biggest between these two major investment clubs. I will wait to see how this game goes. It's only first leg this week and the second leg will be next week. The result of this tie won't be decided this week, but it can certainly have a big influence into seeing how things continue over at Stamford Bridge. I hope you've enjoyed this match day, my ballers. Continue to like, comment and subscribe, and enjoy more match days that will be coming through under What's Football Without Fans. More highlights and more reviews, as well as previews on the other Champions League encounters, and a greater share of Europeans' big leagues in football, with them now hitting the final part of the marathon in their season. Until next time, my ballers, live long.